You know, when we think about hell, or Jahannam in Islam, we probably picture one single blazing fire pit, right? But what if I told you that Islamic tradition describes something way more complex, and frankly, a lot more terrifying? We're not talking about one fire, but 7 distinct levels of punishment, and each one is worse than the last.
It's a pretty chilling thought, isn't it? Each level is apparently reserved for a specific kind of sin, with punishments that are described as being completely beyond our human imagination. And the scariest part? A lot of people might be on a path heading straight for one of these levels and not even know it. So what exactly are these 7 levels?
All right, so here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to start our descent with the first couple of levels, which are for disobedience. Then we'll move through the punishments for things like greed and neglect, and then rage and rejection, until we hit the very, very bottom. And finally, we'll wrap up by asking, what does all of this mean for us, right here, right now? Let's begin the descent.
Okay, our descent begins at the very first level, which is also called Jahannam, just like the whole place. Now I know it says least intense, but do not let that fool you. This level is for people who actually believed in the truth, but they chose laziness or gossip or just plain arrogance over actually doing anything about it. Basically, a life of procrastination and unrepented sins.
I mean, listen to this. Even here, in the supposedly mildest level, the punishment is absolutely terrifying. When the people there beg for water, they're given a liquid that's described as being like molten brass that literally scalds their faces. And here's the kicker. This isn't for disbelief. This is for disobedience.
To put a face to it, think of a guy we'll call Bilal. He'd hear the call to prayer, he'd feel that little pang of guilt, but his response was always the same. Later. I'll start tomorrow. The problem is, he died before tomorrow ever came. His story is just this chilling warning against knowing the right thing to do, but never actually taking that first step.
Okay, going deeper now, we arrive at a place called Lada. The fire here is described as being alive. Yeah, alive. It doesn't just sit there and burn you. It actively seeks out and chases down the people who turn their backs on the truth. It's like a predator made of fire that rips away the scalp.
So who's here? Well, imagine someone like Zara. She lived for validation, for fame, for looks, for her ego. She would mock religion and modesty just to seem modern or fierce. She didn't just sin, she was proud of it. Her rejection of faith wasn't because she didn't know, it was pure arrogance. So in Lada, the fire literally peels away the very image she worked so hard to build.
Our descent continues down to Sakar. This fire is all about sheer, destructive power. It's an all-consuming furnace that scorches absolutely everything, leaves nothing behind, only to start the whole process over and over, endlessly.
And you know, the Quran describes an actual conversation with the people in Sakar. When they're asked, hey, what brought you here? Their reply is this just devastating list of things they didn't do. They say, we were not of those who prayed, nor did we feed the poor, we used to engage in idle talk, and we used to deny the day of recompense.
The kind of person you'd find here is someone we'll call Hamza. He was born Muslim, he wore the label, but his faith was completely empty. There were no actions. Prayer felt like a chore, and the Quran was basically a decoration on a shelf. He really believed that just calling himself a Muslim was going to be enough. Sakar is what exposes the emptiness of that kind of belief.
Now hold on, before we go any deeper, I have to tell you something absolutely fascinating from the source material for this explainer. The creator of the original video this is based on was using an AI to narrate the script, and right at this point, after just the first 3 levels, the AI flat out refused to continue.
The platform gave this reason. This content cannot be supported due to extreme and terrifying descriptions. Think about that. The descriptions of the levels that are coming up next were so horrifying that even a machine, a piece of software with no feelings, was shocked into silence. That should tell you something about what's coming.
All right, we've now arrived at Al-Huthama, which literally translates to the crusher. This fire is different. It doesn't just burn your body. It's described as leaping over the flesh and going straight for the heart. It's a symbolic punishment designed to crush the arrogance, the greed, and the selfishness that grew inside.
The classic example for this level is a guy like Khaled. His god was money. He flaunted his wealth, he made fun of the poor, and he genuinely believed his fortune made him untouchable, immortal even. Well, in Al-Hutama, the fire doesn't touch his gold. It goes right for the heart that worshipped it.
The 5th level is Jahim. This is the prison for those who weren't ignorant. Oh no, they knew the truth. They understood right from wrong, but they intentionally
knowingly chose the temporary rewards of this world, fame, power, popularity, over their faith.
Ariba is the perfect modern archetype for this. She grew up with religion, but decided to trade her modesty for online popularity, always using the excuse, "Oh, God is forgiving," so she could keep doing what she was doing. She sold her soul for likes. In Jahannam, the fire burns away that fake image she created for a world that can't even see her anymore.
At the 6th level down, we find Sa'ir. This is described as a raging inferno, an absolute beast of a fire. And it's not for people who were just disobedient or lazy. This is for those who knew the truth was out there and made it their personal mission to actively fight against it, to spread doubt and corruption.
Here we find someone like Rayyan, the intellectual who used his platform and his words to attack faith. He'd call religion backward, mock believers, and lead other people astray with his whole philosophy. See, Sa'ir isn't for the honest doubter who's looking for answers. It's for those who arrogantly tried to tear down faith itself.
And now we've reached the bottom, Hawiyah, the lowest, the darkest, the deepest pit of Jahannam. The source is very clear on this. Souls aren't just placed here. They are thrown in, thrown like garbage. This is the final stop for what is considered the ultimate sin in Islam, hypocrisy.
And just to give you a sense of its depth, it is said that it takes a full 70 years for a soul just to fall to the bottom of Hawiyah. Imagine that, a constant, terrifying fall into ever-increasing heat and darkness for 70 years. So who are these inhabitants? The two-faced. The ones who wore Islam like a mask just to get ahead in the world. They only prayed when people were watching them. They gave charity, but with arrogance. They literally smiled to the Prophet's face while secretly plotting against him. Their outer righteousness was just a cover for their completely empty insides.
So our descent is over. We've walked through 7 levels of punishment that are truly beyond imagination. And this brings us to the real point, the core question that the source material wants us to ask ourselves. This isn't just some scary story. It's meant to be a mirror. If you died tonight, where would you stand? Ultimately, this whole journey through Jahannam reveals a fundamental choice we all have between 2 paths. There's the path of delay. It's built on laziness, arrogance, greed, and hypocrisy. And then there's the path of forgiveness, built on sincere action, humility, and repentance. According to this tradition, yeah, the 7 levels of hell are a terrifying reality, but so is the mercy of God and the chance to choose a different path while you still can.